Hello everybody, this is the final video in my series of 6 looking at the recent Iron Man retro-carded wave of figures from Marvel Legends, and I've probably saved one of the best till last because She-Hulk was one of my most anticipated figures when this series was announced. I really wanted her and the Whiplash figures, and I was just delighted to finally have a comic book accurate version of She-Hulk, or what I should say there is I suppose a more original version of She-Hulk, the one that I grew up with, basically. So, without further ado, let's take a look at the packaging. I love this packaging. You've probably heard me wax lyrical about this in the other videos if you've seen those. If you haven't watched any of those, this is obviously retro carded in the sense that it's harking back to the Toy Biz 90s line that tied into the animated series. A series that is, near to my heart. It wasn't the best show in the world, but I loved it as a kid and I've got great affection for it. So I love this design. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. It looks great on display. Obviously it has that wonderful bubble packaging there as well. And I do think it's kind of amusing that because She-Hulk is an oversized character, she's a little bit taller than the other 6-inch characters. You can see they've kind of got her squatting a little bit to squeeze her into this packaging, which is kind of amusing. If we flip it over and look at the reverse, yeah, this is less impressive. I've talked about this in previous videos. It's still nice that they've kept the overall look and design, but I think it would have been really cool if they'd fully gone the whole way, the whole hog, and actually showed the other figures that are available in this wave as they used to do back in the day. Okay, so looking at the figure itself, I've said already I had a lot of anticipation. There's a lot riding on this particular figure, and I'm pleased to say that off the bat she certainly looks the part, and I absolutely love the green plastic they've used on this figure. This feels pitch perfect. This is how I think of all the Hulks really from my childhood reading these comic books, and I just love how luminous and bright and vivid this green is. This looks pretty much pitch perfect, and I don't think we've had this colour quite right before, and it looks absolutely fantastic. If we take a look at this head sculpt, I think they've done a really good job. Obviously this is brand new, and I think this works an absolute treat. I think they've got a lot of detail in there, which is nice. Obviously very big hair coming from the 80s, and I think they've done a nice job here with the paint taps, having that wash running through it with the green and the black. Just looks really good, gives it a lot more life, gives it a lot more depth and texture, which looks brilliant. And yeah, I think they've done a pretty nice job all around. Now if we look at the body sculpt, I think this is a brand new body sculpt. I don't think there's many characters that they could really utilize this one for, although there are a few exceptions actually, but I think this is brand new and I really like it. I think it looks really good. Again, very authentic to what we'd see on the page. I think they've got her build and tone just right, and of course she's slightly oversized compared to the other figures in this wave, which is absolutely brilliant. Now having said all that, there are a couple of gripes that I have with the figure. Again, we're not seeing an awful lot in the way of paint taps, as tends to be the case these days for the Marvel Legends line, which is, disappointing. I think a character like She-Hulk taken in this context, I think it works for the most part, as it has for most of the figures in this Iron Man wave actually, so I'm not too concerned about it, but just a wash over the torso would have been quite nice, over the actual costume parts, or over the muscles. That would have worked really well, but anyway, I think it's okay. There's definitely some issues with the elbows and the knee joints, where you can see that, yeah, the plastic they've used there doesn't quite marry up with the plastic that they're using for the rest of the body. So the green just stands out a little bit. It's a little bit jarring, I gotta say. It's quite noticeable. And then of course we have the hair piece, which although I think looks great, definitely causes a few challenges for articulation, as we'll see now. So she does have a ball joint at the top of the neck there, and she can just about turn her head from side to side and kind of wobble it left and right. I wouldn't really call it articulation though. And she can bend her head forwards, but of course it's not going to bend backwards at all because that is one solid thick piece of plastic. She does have ball joints in the shoulders though, so her arms will lift up and out, and there is a complementary bicep swivel there as well. There's a double joint at the elbow, as you would hope, so the hand can go all the way back to the head there, which is brilliant, and she has a standard pin swivel at the wrist there, so the hand will rotate all the way around and hinge forwards and backwards. Now she has a ball joint in the upper torso, so she can move from side to side, and she can lean left and right a pretty decent distance as well, and of course she can also bend forwards and backwards, but this isn't quite as much as I would hope for. Again, the hair is playing a part here, but I also just don't think there's much in the way of give there with that joint. There's ball joints in the hips, of course, so the legs kick out to the side. There's the thigh swivel at the top of the leg there, and then we have another swivel at the boot cut, so at the top of the lower part of the leg, I suppose. The leg will kick forwards, it'll go backwards, another double joint at the knee there, so that lower leg will kick all the way back, and then we have the standard ankle rocket, so the foot will hinge forwards and backwards and rock from side to side. Accessories wise, she comes with an additional pair of closed fists and this kind of unusual bit different broken machine gun. And I have to say, I actually really like this approach. I think this is really kind of fun. I wish we got more accessories like this. It's nice because it's thinking outside the box and it's just so different to anything else that we typically get with our Marvel Legends. So yeah, I think this looks good. It's a nice mold. There's not much going on in the way of paint apps, which lets it down, sadly. But otherwise, this is pretty cool. You know, you definitely get the sense that she can grip this in both her hands and it makes it look like she has just like snapped it over her knee. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. I think that's kind of fun. And that's basically all there is to it, really. I mean, she's a little bit taller than your standard Marvel Legends figure. She comes in about 7 inches, actually, which is pretty cool. So she's got a good clear inch on most of your other 6 inches in this line, which is pretty nice. And I have to say, she's a pretty good figure. I'm going to give her 4 stars. I'm actually really quite happy with this. I think they've done a good job. A lot of expectation and anticipation around this release for me personally, but I think they've pretty much nailed it. It's unfortunate about the hair, but it's kind of difficult to see how they're going to approach it, because at least this is very authentic to what we'd see. They've done a nice job of it in terms of the paint apps there, so you know, you're caught between a devil and a deep blue. It does hinder the articulation, but I think overall I'd rather go for the accuracy of the look, and I think this works very, very nicely. So to be fair, I think they've done a really good job. I think this definitely meets my expectations, and I think now all I need is a Hulk in a similar green plastic. That would make my day. I'd love it to match this colour scheme, and I can put them both together. At the moment they would contrast a little bit too much against each other, and I really want a nice vivid green Hulk, the way that we've got a lovely vivid She-Hulk. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do consider giving the video a like. That kind of thing really does help the channel out and it allows me to keep making more content. And if you're interested in seeing more content, remember to hit subscribe, as there'll be plenty more videos coming soon.